1011's Catherine Crane is live tonight at 5 to explain the situation right now and shows us what we can do to get ready. Catherine?
John, for the most part, Nebraskans haven't felt the effects of the Missouri River flooding as badly as they have across the river on the Iowa side, but unfortunately that could all change. The flooding of the Missouri River could create problems all across the state. John and Cerise, this heat is more than just oppressive. It's not just a nuisance. It can actually be dangerous. I'm going to go ahead and put this thermometer in the car right now. Right now it says it's about 100 degrees. We're going to go ahead and check that in a little bit to see just how hot it can get inside these cars. But this heat and this humidity for people can be deadly. John, that fire that destroyed the LPS district offices happened more than a month ago, but there is still plenty of work to be done here on O Street. There are actually crews still working right now. Cerise, it is a beautiful day out here. It is a windy day out here, but that wind is a great thing for us. It is pushing all of this pollution right on out of town. Hopefully it will stay out of town. A study released this week shows people who drink diet soda every day have a 61% higher chance of a heart attack and stroke. Dave Graves is the general manager at this Subway. He says this curb is what he thinks made that SUV swerve, missing his store, instead hitting the wall next to it. John and Cerise, those polls are still open, and the woman I'm standing next to would love for you to get out there and vote. Joining me is Republican candidate for mayor, Tammy Buffington. Thank you so much for joining us, Governor Heineman. We'll let you get back to your guests. Keller, the governor does have another inaugural gala tomorrow night in Omaha.
July 1st, the Huskers officially joined the Big Ten Conference and the Big Time. They're also joining a conference with its own television network.
Yeah, new tonight, 1011's Catherine Crane shows us what this move to the Big Ten means for the Big Red.
We're still about 81 days, 16 hours, and 20 minutes away from the Husker football team's Big Ten debut. But the Big Ten Network has already made its way out to Lincoln in anticipation. Here's what they think about the Big Red's move to the Big Ten.
It lives up to the hype. There's a lot of talk about Nebraska having some of the best facilities. Too many new stadiums don't have character, and this one doesn't fight that problem. It definitely looks like what a football stadium should be. It's old and it's cold, but it's perfect for what you want in terms of fans being able to go crazy.
And the horseshoe before every game.
That history and tradition is what BTN's Mike Hall says sets the Big Ten apart from the Big 12.
They're a perfect match in terms of Midwest football power, massive fan base that travels. I think they're going to fit in perfectly
into a conference that has its own television network. Hall says more exposure means more Husker coverage for Big Red fans.
You've got only 12 teams for an hour-and-a-half pregame show. Then you've got your own halftime show just for your conference. Then you've got a postgame show. Then you've got shows during the week. I can't think of anything better in the world for them.
The conference switch is more than just a title. Hall says it comes down to X's and O's.
There won't be as much razzle-dazzle. It'll be a lot more meat and potatoes football, but that's not a bad thing.
The Huskers' inaugural season just may have a sweet ending.
Many of the analysts at our network that I've already talked to predict them to not only win their division, but probably win the title game too.
You can watch BTN's tour of Lincoln on July 1st when Nebraska officially joins the conference. In Lincoln, Catherine Crane, 1011 News.
Network's grown a lot as well. I remember when it first came on the air, not a whole lot of programming, but certainly Big Ten football is power football, and it's football and basketball. And I think Nebraska will also be able to really charge up the baseball season for the network.
Well, that's good. I like the predictions winning the conference.
Could be a very good year.
Yes, indeed.
From KOLN Lincoln and KGIN Grand Island, this is 1011 News at 10.
There's always that hope for cure, and that hope is there too.
Miracles do happen.
Rising waters creep ever closer to towns all along the Missouri River, and now families are fighting to keep their homes dry and their spirits afloat.
A mandatory evacuation along the west side of I-29 in Iowa means hundreds of families are picking up and moving out of the river bottom. Good evening, I'm Cerise Cole.
I'm John Fortney. 1011's Catherine Crane shows us how that evacuation is affecting families and generations.
I first met David Luth last week as he was fighting to protect the levee surrounding his hometown. Now the waters are rising and he's no longer legally allowed to enter the fields he's plowed for decades. But David and his wife say they're starting a new adventure in the city as they try to move towards normalcy.
Hello, welcome to our home. We're now living in Nebraska City.
David and Beth Luth left their century-old farm home
It's home. There's no place like home.
We have each other.
across the swollen Missouri River in Percival, Iowa.
Well, it's a family member. The house is a family member.
Water hasn't invaded their home, but Wednesday the Fremont sheriff issued a mandatory evacuation.
It's easy to get angry and try to blame, and that actually accomplishes nothing.
David and Beth moved into this house in Nebraska City just days before it was scheduled for demolition to be turned into a parking lot. The home is owned by the First United Methodist Church, and they've assured the Luths they can stay as long as they need to.
I feel comfortable here, but I always worry about that house across the river. We've talked about different scenarios from, oh, it's just a good cleaning and we'll be back in by August, to the house is washed away and it'll take 2 years to build something. I mean, so, and anything in between that. So we're prepared if we could just know what it is. But we'll just wait and see and hope for the best.
Beth's family has farmed this land since 1860.
I still hope that there's going to be a small amount of crop left. You take what you're given.
Our crop still looks good today.
Our crop looks great.
Does it get to the point ever where you just say, I'm not planting here?
No,
No, never. I've
It's 2
been
years out of 150.
do the math.
But it takes its toll. The Luths compare the flood to an illness that takes its time.
If there is going to be a death, it's slow. The waters are rising slow. You go every day. You don't see much change, but you know it's coming. But then there's also, in the hope of a cancer, there's always that hope for cure. And that hope is there too.
Miracles do happen.
The miracles happen.
David and Beth consider themselves lucky to be living in their temporary home in Nebraska City. They say some of their friends can't even find a place to stay and are camping in trailers right now.
Well, many kids want to be the president when they grow up, but this President's Day, we thought we'd show you a little boy who is following in two great leaders' footsteps.
10/11's Catherine Crane introduces us to a little boy with a dream.
Aiden Brown is only 5 years old, but he has a dream.
I wanted to be a president and I was big.
And he's already picked out his campaign.
Presidents do good and not wrong.
One of his heroes is President Barack Obama.
I have the same color of your skin.
What else?
The same suit. The same hair. The same glasses.
Aiden's aunt, Bobby Morton, is his legal guardian. She saved one of President Obama's addresses for Aiden to watch.
He looked at it and just said nothing, just listened and amazed.
And now the kindergartner tells a speech of his own. It's a combination of Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech and President Obama's Yes, We Can.
All our first time having a black president, but letting him know that he could believe too. It wasn't about the color of our skin or how our hair look or whatever, but it's about what we're going to choose to do with our life. He's 5, he doesn't understand all the way about the character in. He knows being good is the character within.
Let's be friends. In black and white.
Aiden will give his speech this Sunday at All Nations Church of the Lord. Reporting in Lincoln, Catherine Crane, 10/11 News.
Wow, what a great little boy there. Very cute and very smart as well. You can tell that.